Alrighty, good morning. Yes, it is. It's Monday, April 29th. Up and at 'em, sunshine. Got coffee. Alright, so I thought today we'd kind of go into, because I see a pattern a lot of times with people that get into business. And it's not that they don't get into business the right way, it's they get into business, but they don't understand the laws of business and what you should and shouldn't be doing. So hang with us. Alright, so welcome back. My name is Eric, if you didn't already know it. And today is Monday, as part of the weekday, Monday through Friday. Also available on podcast. And we have usually daily uploads on something. But this morning's show is more about getting into business the right way and doing it for the long haul. See, that's the key. A lot of people jump into business, but they have no extended goal in mind. No growth. They're just kind of winging it to see where it goes. And that's okay to a certain point. And then I also see in business guys that will get in there and they give it their all. And they will basically marry their business. And when I say marry, I mean literally spend hours upon hours there. Always the first one there, always the last one to leave. And a lot of times they bring it home with them. And they're working on it at home. Yes. And you probably can't believe this, but I used to be the same way. But one of the things that came to mind, is back when I was working in the mines. I worked my way up from general utility to utility 2 to you were a miner, but you were kind of like half. They had different steps, and that was based on your knowledge and what you were willing to learn. The key is I was willing to suck it all in, and I wanted to learn. I knew that the more I knew, the more valuable I became to this company. And that's what I wanted. I didn't get the mindset of saying that I'm so valuable that I'm not replaceable, because I always felt I was replaceable. I was just trying to make sure that they had to think about it a few minutes before they replaced me. But part of it was I was being paid a really good wage. I won't lie. And a lot of times we got paid, we did get paid by bonus. And the bonus was how much of the final product rolled across the belt into train cars in the form of zinc and lead. But our bonus was based on the zinc content. And I can remember when I was first getting into the mining as a miner, because I worked my way up. Because I worked at what they called number 4, number 2, and Pierpont. Those 3 mines. They had 4, 3, 2, Pierpont, and Hyatt. But I worked at 3 different ones to gain experience. When I finally got put on to a full share bonus, they had me up in the Pierpont mine, which was a decline. You could drive a diesel truck in. No gas jobs were allowed underground. Everything was diesel or electric. But you could drive your vehicle right in. And that's how we went to work in the morning, was the foreman. We had bench seats in the back that were wooden, that the carpentry shop had made, where it would fit 8 of us in the back and 3 in the front of the cab. And the foreman would take us down and drop us off in our headings. and you drove down in, and it just kept being a spiral, right? And the way you got the ore out of the ground, we had big trucks, big articulating trucks. Bertha was one of them. And God, I mean, you loved her in the wintertime, but you hated her in the summertime because you're full throttle all the way. And the heat coming off from when you're coming up the incline coming out, that turbo and that exhaust pipe would be just cherry red. And if it was cold out, and because they were pushing air into the mines, fresh air and blowing out, exhausting out other ways, the contaminants like diesel and stale air and stuff, you were totally warm. You could feel the heat coming off that. So I'd always take Beulah if I had to drive a truck during the winter months. But in the summertime, when you came out, you ended up being just, you were down to your t-shirt and your t-shirt was drenched. I mean, it looks like somebody had poured a 5-gallon bucket on you. It was bad. And that's the new guy always got stuck with her during the summer months. I was stuck with her for about 3 months when I first went up there because, even though you're a miner, you're expected to also do general utility work. Just because they give you a miner status doesn't mean that all you do is drill. And that's what I liked about it, because I didn't want to just drill. I mucked with loaders, drove truck, loaded rounds, what have you. Whatever needed to be done, I was doing it and helping people do it. So we all got our work done. But the bonus system was set up on the percentage of ore that was zinc. And up at the Pierpont mine, we had headings that were 40, 60 foot high of just solid high grade ore. I mean, it's such solid high grade zinc that it was in the crystal form. And one of the things that it didn't last for long because it got to complaining was if you worked at Pierpont, they based your bonus on the content, right? And the percentage. So the guy at number 4 and number 2 in Hyatt weren't getting squat compared to what we were making up there at Pierpont because of the bonus system. Eventually, there was enough harping on it that we ended up taking and combining all the mines or in the final product and then splitting it amongst all the miners and the general utilities, their percentages. But what I can tell you is for a long time, years, my bonus was a lot more than what my base pay was. And my base pay was right around 26, 27 an hour back then in the 90s. So that tells you what kind of money you could make. Was it hazardous? Yes. But I didn't look at it as hazardous. I enjoyed working in the mines. Camaraderie among fellow workers and stuff that you knew they had your back. But one of the philosophies we had was if you work hard, you play hard. And I didn't understand that when I first went there because I worked in the mill and worked my way up to operator there where I was operating the mill. We didn't have that sense because we weren't making, twice our income, right? But it wasn't as risky as what it was underground. So the guys that were underground were a lot tighter. And, we would get together with our families, and have barbecues at different people's house. We never did that in the mill. It just, you didn't have that camaraderie. But one of the things, that they explained to me, once I was a miner, they said, look, you need to start getting toys. And I'm like, toys? They said, yeah, toys. That means in the wintertime, a nice fast snowmobile. Because we ride all winter and we ride hard. And in the summertime, a four-wheeler or side-by-side. Because we just tear up the trails. And fishing derbies, that we get together and throw on a big barbecue right there next to the water, and the kids would be fishing for a little panfish, and the guys would make wagers on who could catch the biggest and the most bass, because you're also competitive. And the thing is we used to bar hop a lot in those days too. And if somebody there decided to take on one of us, you might as well just figure you just took on the whole bunch, because, nobody touches one of our own. Even if our own is the fault. We used to have guys that didn't know where to stop, and their mouth got them into trouble. But it all goes back to, if you work hard, you have to play hard. And the idea is you can't constantly be wired where you're working a lot of hours, you're working hard underground, and there is stress involved. Not so much for me at the time, because, like I say, I enjoyed working underground. It was the same temperature year round. 55 degrees. The only thing I disliked is if you worked day shift when it came winter months, and you come in when it was dark, and by the time you got your shower and headed home, it was dark, and you were in the dark all day long. So 24/7, if you worked, day shift throughout the winter, you didn't see much daylight except for on weekends. But if you're a business owner and you've started a business, you're working hard. You're doing the daily grind, right? And you're probably doing more so in the beginning to try to get your business up. And when I mean some people don't look at the long haul, they're just trying to deal with how to make money now. Making money now is important, yes. But you also need to be making money 20 years down the road, and what kind of growth are you looking to get? You have to think about those things. They don't magically happen. You have to build yourself up. And you have to be resilient, when it comes to business, because if you're not resilient, the first bad thing that happens to you, you're going to call it quits, and you can't do that as a business owner. You shouldn't be doing that as an individual either. If you come up against a little bit of hard times in your life, dust yourself off and get right back into it. Because that's the key in life and in business and anything else, is if you're not happy with what you're doing, why are you doing it? Well, I used to like it until I started putting in 7 days a week, and okay, change it. And I was like, well, how do I change it? Well, I should start working 5 days a week instead of 7. Well, I can't afford to because I need the money. Okay, so you're telling me you need the money. There's no places in that budget you can't cut to knock out the weekends so you have weekends off, or that you couldn't hire somebody to work Saturdays till noon if you're running a small repair shop. But by the way, folks, most of our sales when we were selling new was on the weekends. It wasn't, during the weekday because everybody was at work, right? So most often on the weekends, it was sales and taking in machines, customers' machines to be fixed during the 5-day week. But again, the key is at any point in time, you could say uncle. and stop. If it's causing that much disruption in your life, you might want to change course now. It's if you don't enjoy doing it, you're not going to be willing to put in the extra effort that's going to get you over the hump. And if you're a new business, yes, it's hard to attract new customers. Longevity is the key, and that is, the more you do, hopefully you're doing a good job, and your customers are now referring other customers because of how pleased they are. Next thing you know, you have your bread and butter, basically, of your regular customers. And retaining an old customer is a heck of a lot cheaper than trying to get new ones. See, that's one thing I never could figure out in business, where these people, the mindset they had was the bill is what it is, right? And have like a $700 bill just to check electrical system on a four-wheeler and determine it's the battery and replace the battery. And I'm like, why didn't you start with the battery and check to see if it could hold a charge, and then replace the battery at $70 and an hour's labor instead of a $700-800 bill that you just hit that customer with? Well, that's just the way we do things. Well, I got news for you. That customer is not coming back. That's what I'm getting at. They're not coming back. You can't hit and run continually unless you live in a highly populated area. And even then, word gets around pretty quickly that you're a shoddy shop to stay away from you, because you weren't smart enough to check that battery before you went did all your other checks. I'd be embarrassed to find out all I needed was a battery and then present my customer with $700 or an $800 bill. So you need longevity. So I'm going to start wrapping this thing up here a little bit, but the main theme is you can't run with the dogs all the time or you'll burn yourself out. And that you also have to have, for the time you have invested into work, and this goes for if you work for somebody as well, and you've been working hard all week, you need to have things that are the fruits of your labor, and that is things that give you enjoyment. And for each and every one of us, with us being unique, that could be one of many things. It could be a fishing boat for one of you that loves to fish and make it a priority to go fish. Could be riding Harleys or a V-Star or a Suzuki C50, on long rides, or do short rides and stop and have coffee in different places and come back around as a group. Whatever it is that gives you enjoyment, you should be able to afford. And when I say should be able to, is it goes to priorities, right? Because what I can tell you right now is that if you have no outlet to take the whole week of stressors, what have you, and even if it was a good week, you still have good stressors, right? And if you don't have a place to kind of defuse that, kind of a slow down period, whether it be hunting, fishing, something, bicycling, walking, trail walking, then you are on a path for burnout. And you are not looking at longevity. You're only seeing the next hour, next day, and the end of the week. And that also goes And I think Amos and Ed could chime in on here, is that when you get to retirement age, you should be able to enjoy the fruits of your labor as well. And I'm not saying, have a garage full of Harleys, umpteen boats, and all the other crap, because I did that. I can tell you from personal experience that, you know, buying the stuff is one thing, but if you're not using it and enjoying it, then you need to let it go. But when you finally get to that retirement age, hopefully you've invested well, or you have some money set aside, and you have some toys to do stuff. I hear people say, that I used to work with a bunch of guys that were like that. And all they talked about was when they retired, traveling. And then when it would get close to retirement age, something would happen that would, whether it be a stroke or a death, that they never got to enjoy the fruits of their labor. And what I'm telling you right now is you need to enjoy it every day as you're working the fruits of your labor. Don't wait until you're old to start. Start now. You start enjoying, if you enjoy fishing, fly fishing, trolling, you need to make that part of your week. For some of you, golfing. Don't take me golfing because I can't hit the ball straight no matter what. But for some people, that's their outlet, and they enjoy it. Bowling is another one that a lot of guys I work with used to do. We used to bowl league and stuff. What I'm trying to tell you is don't wait until later in life when you may not be able to physically do what you wanted to do, because you will burn out, because you'll get tired of the grind and nothing is being put back. So you're running on reserve, and then next thing you know, you're at wit's end. So on that note, you guys have a great Monday. And just think about it. Whether you work for somebody or you're self-employed, what have you, are you enjoying the fruits of your labor? And do you have downtime where you're going and doing things that you enjoy doing? And if you don't, you need to make some changes. And I would suggest thinking about those changes today. The sooner the better. Because we want you to last for the long haul. All right. Catch you guys later.